October 17 at 12:30 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and Taylor, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Breitling?
Yes.
Commissioner Grinberg?
Here.
Ms. Heinley? Here. Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Steen?
Here.
And Mr. Litchie.
Yes.
Chair will rule a quorum is present. The first item of business would be to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of April 21, 2025 as published. Is there such a motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion that needs to take place? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. The next item of our agenda is the fund update for the sales tax. Can you provide that to us, Sarah?
Yep, in your package, you should have all received the basic laydown of the statements that we have. The key points would be, we currently have 11.7 million in cash in the fund to be utilized. Of that, 1.9 has already been set aside for different purposes, other projects that you've already approved. That leaves us with a 9.7 million available for other projects. This is approximately a 20% increase over last year, and overall we increased the balance of this fund by about 16% every year. Any questions?
Question I have is, some time ago, I think it's maybe 2 years ago, we reduced the amount set aside into this fund and directed it to the diversion.
That is correct. I believe it used to be 90%. Now it's 94%. That goes to the diversion, and 6% comes to this committee.
When was that? When did that take place?
I have it written down.
More than 5 years. Pretty sure.
Yes, okay.
I was going to say the three to four range. Could obviously find that in minutes, but that was
Time flies.
my guess. Yeah.
That would be
And that's-
April of 2019.
Yeah.
91%, and it moved.
To 94?
I just had a couple of questions on the projects. Maybe are we going to get to that separately? The open projects, or is that?
Yes. I think last time, I was going to point this out, at the last meeting, there was a comment from the committee that it was confusing if we go over the projects and then if some projects have additional requests. So item number 2 is the status of the previously approved projects. So that's when we're going to ask that if anybody in the room has any updates on any of the already approved projects. And then item 3 will be 2 requests for additional funding on 2 projects that we've already approved. So we'll take those additional requests separately from just discussing ones that have updates but not a funding request. I think that's what the board requested, or the committee requested at the last meeting.
Chairman, maybe two additional questions. That I assume we're going to move forward here to the next agenda item.
Yes, that's correct.
Reminder for the group, the expiration date for the sales tax from the county, and then what's the estimated annual contribution to the fund that we use for outside projects. Yeah. Estimated annual collection.
I just did some math beforehand, Commissioner. So I think if I understand the question, the total tax revenue coming in right now is about 20 million a year to the county, and 6% of that would stay with the non-diversion projects.
So it's 1.2 million. Okay. And the date on that sales tax? 84. Okay, so we got a few years.
Yep.
I primarily asked that question is Commissioner Steen and Commissioner Breitling being on the Diversion Authority. In this room in August, we had a board retreat for the Diversion Authority. And as we look at a high-level overview of how we're strengthening the financial model of the diversion project, there may be a discussion next year on dedicating some of these funds for a 2 to 4 year window to strengthen the financial model for the diversion project. I only bring that up just to make sure everyone understands that that might be discussion advancing, which in my opinion would be contingent on the city of Fargo's decision on what they're going to put forward in June of next year for an extension of the sales tax. Whether that's water projects or whether that's infrastructure with the city and or portion of that gap, I guess is the easiest way to describe it, that's projected between 2028 and 2032, somewhere in that range.
I ask the questions because there may be a need in the future to adjust those percentages again, based on the demand that's been placed on that account.
If I could, Mr. Chair, if I could just add one more comment to that.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so I actually was thinking about that this morning as well, Commissioner Grenberg. There's a nice balance in there now, and I'm thinking it probably would be not a bad move, and I thought the same thing you just said, some type of limit on the rollback, but also maintaining the fund that's in there to keep, any of the outside county funds safe. So it makes sense when you look at the numbers. It frees up some money, but I'd definitely put some type of cap or sunset on that provision, so it's not forgotten about, and then you come back to it, so. Yep.
Any other question or discussions concerning the current status? We next will have the status of the previously approved projects. Who wants to speak to the one up north? Robert? Yes.
I want to get a mic.
Commissioner Brightling?
Just so other.
Okay, so I think the plan was to go through all the projects that don't have an additional funding request first, and then item 3 has the Sheldon addition, and then Elm River Dam 1, 2, 3, because they have additional cost share requests.
Or you want to go to number 4 first?
Or if you want to just go through, if anyone has any projects that are listed on our projects,
2, right? You're
Yeah.
saying 2.
but they don't have an additional cost
Can I
share.
have that in front of him?
That they don't have a cost share?
Yeah, do you want me to go through the list and ask if there's anyone that has updates on them for you?
I think there were 2, weren't there?
Yeah, that's number 3 on the agenda. So,
How many do you have?
Page 12, Robert, if you're looking for that, it's page 12 of the packet.
yeah, the first one is the 2018 Hunter Dam project. Does anyone here have an update on that project? What about the 2020 Davenport levee?
I've got a question, that's back to 2020, so is that in progress, is it stalled out? Can someone answer that? Just curious, because it's been kind of stagnant for quite a while.
Yeah, Commissioner Steen, so Davenport was approved in 2020. So since then, we've been working on negotiations with the railroad, final design. Climber with FEMA was done, and the new flood insurance rate maps for FEMA came out September 5th of this year. So that's all moving. It is still moving forward. The last step is a railroad agreement, which is really close at this point. We're just waiting on exhibits from them. Step 2 after that would be go back to the State Water Commission for cost share. And then we need about an additional 1.7 million from them because their cost share was approved in 2020 also, long before the final costs were known and what was going to happen with the railroad. And then that would leave roughly about $1 million request to come back before this board. So before construction starts, We need to finalize an agreement with Railroad, go back to the State Water Commission, and then we'll put together the final funding request for this committee. Hopefully in the spring.
Just state your name for the record.
Kurt Lisney with Moore Engineering. Kurt Lisney, Lysne. Thanks.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chair. So Kurt, you suggested maybe another 400,000 or so that we should be looking at possibly allocating, that we requested from the county, or another million?
Another $1 million.
So instead of 595,000, $1,595,000? Right now, we got 595 as, well, that's been paid.
Paid. So
The rest to pay, 29, okay. And we approved 1.4, so you're gonna go to 2.4,
correct.
adding $1 million onto the total.
That's what we're anticipating, estimated right now. Yep.
Any other questions concerning this item?
Next one is the 2021 Maple River Township Road.
I'll take this one. Maple River just completed this project this fall here. We had some issues with right-of-way and utilities and a few plan changes to make it work, but they did finally get it to work. They had to close the road for about a month before the landowner would finally agree to have some discussions about giving up some land. But they ended up securing the right-of-way needed, and we got the project completed under budget because of some of the plan changes. So that would be the total amount. That's,
Need for an additional request?
no, so that one, what is paid, we just got that paid last month here, or just a few days ago. So that one is done.
We need a motion for the additional funds, or? Okay.
Item, Taylor, is
We'll skip the Elm River Dam because we're gonna come back to that one. The 2022 Nomana Township Bank Stabilization.
Mike, could you help me out with this one?
Good afternoon, Mike Opat with Houston Engineering. I think the brief update on this one is there's been a feasibility study completed on this. Working with Kyle and his staff, we've been looking at different funding options to implement the preferred solution. And we've been potentially queuing up an application to the State Water Commission, but it sounded like there were some potential other transportation-related funding, Kyle, that we were going to pursue first, as that would potentially take a bulk of it. So we're waiting for those two things to play out before coming back to the committee with a specific request.
Yeah, and that, the funding he is referring to is flex funds. So we did submit an application into the flex funds for this project. So we'll find out after the new year here.
any questions concerning this item? What do you have next, Taylor?
Next one, 2022 Mapleton Flapgate Storm Sewer Outfalls.
Is there anyone here who can speak to that?
The next one then is 2022 Reed Township Cheyenne River Bank Stabilization.
I can maybe speak to that. I had some involvement with the feasibility phase on that one as well, and I believe the township met with the residents and discussed what a project would look like and what the local share would look like for them, and I think it's sort of stalled out at that point, so I don't know that it's moving forward, Kyle, unless you've heard anything differently, but it's likely stalled out at this point.
It's not likely that that will proceed.
That's my sense, but I don't know that they've taken any official action, so.
Any questions concerning this item? Taylor?
2023 Rochester Page Township Slope Erosion Repair.
Yeah, they've had some delays with their contractor with a different project, so hopefully next year to finish up the riprap. I know last meeting they had asked for some additional funds for some extra riprap on that project, so that'll hopefully happen next construction year.
2023 Mapleton 2nd Street Storm Lift Station Replacement.
Mr. Chair, I'll just add for the next three, so 2023 Mapleton, Castleton, and Kindred. The engineer that's working on those is the same, and he was unable to attend the meeting today, so you can probably skip those.
So then the next one would be the 2024 Rush River Amenia Flood Control.
Sure. So cost share was approved for the conditional letter of map revision from FEMA. That's being worked on, so that'll be submitted. At the end of the Clomer and also State Water Commission or Department of Water Resources construction permit, that was also in this cost share. There will be a project constructed in Amenia, sponsored by the Cass County Joint Water Resource District, and it's actually a federal water planning document that the NRCS has paid for. So the NRCS led the effort with the Cass County Joint Board. It looks like they'll pay for 100% of the construction on that, which is a great deal with the federal government, but there will be local cost share needed. There's land acquisition, the permitting that we've talked about here, and a few other miscellaneous items that the feds don't cover. So not sure exactly what the request will be in the future, but there will be one.
Next,
Questions?
next one's the 2024 Maple River Lowhead Dam improvements.
Let's give the same update for the next two. The committee approved cost share for the Maple River Lowhead Dam improvements and the Wild Rice. Those are both being submitted for construction permits. The design is ongoing, looking at no-rise with FEMA and whatever other certifications need to happen on those projects, as well as final design. So the cost share was approved, and that is continuing moving forward.
And then the last one is the 2025 North Cass Water Resource Drain 42 repair.
A similar update to that. That one's got, design is ongoing. There will be a construction cost share request in the spring.
Any other questions?
Okay. The 2017 Sheldon Ring Levy update.
Bruce, do you want to take that?
Sure, I can take that. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So the Sheldon project we talked about last spring, and going back and looking through the history of this one's been going since about 2017 or 18, started planning for it. And Colin Miller's also here. He lives out in Sheldon subdivision, is kind of the spokesperson. Oh, and Jake Gust is here too from the Cass County Joint Board. And they'd be happy to speak on the project as well. Colin, I don't know if you want to speak or? I can. Okay. I'll go through the request and then we can see if there's any questions moving from there. So we had the project bid out last spring. Again, it was in 7 or 8 years of planning. The big reason for the delay is that with the solicitation of the P3 developer for the diversion, there was a requirement that they stockpile 12,000 cubic yards of clay right adjacent to the subdivision, which saved an awful lot of money. That was delivered free to the county for that cost. And that was great, but that's why the schedule took so long. So got this bid out last spring, got it constructed over the summer. The project is done. It's substantially complete, just waiting for the grass to grow and for closeout. And we talked last spring about originally, there was a cost share approved by the Flood Sales Tax Committee for $462,750. And there was an assessment district approved by the residents of the subdivision for $61,700. And so the talk at this committee was if at all possible, if the flood sales tax would pay every dollar over what the locals were assessing themselves to close the gap on that funding need without having to go to a revote. And so the committee at the time approved up to, let's see, sorry, I'm shuffling paper here, $393,000, not knowing what final costs would be, of the previously approved $462,750. So now that the project's done, there's more information in your packet, but there was a lot of gravel that needed to be added. We were looking at recycling some of the gravel road that was contaminated with clay and had to be taken away and imported. So there was additional cost on the construction side. If you look at the topographic map of that area too, it is flat as a pancake. And so we didn't know how many culverts would need to be through the levee, but once you're in construction, we could see where the water was draining a little better than even what the surveyed data showed. So there were some culverts added, and also had a very favorable bid from the contractor, but they also took a long time to get it done. So there was a little additional construction administration fees and inspection costs that came along with it. So with all that, with the final cost reconciliation and then estimating out what the closeout might be from Melissa and her staff, and then on the record drawings and some of that information. I'm not sure which page this is in your PDF, but of the max approved, there's 370,200 approved from the State Water Commission, and the county will be submitting, they'll get all of that. The 462,750 was originally approved by the Flood Sales Tax Committee, and then the local share approved the 61,700. And if you look at what's remaining in cost after the 61,700, there's an additional $69,209 that is being requested from the Flood Sales Tax Committee. Basically, this would be the local share above and beyond what has been previously approved for cost share reimbursement. It would basically raise the percent of the County Flood Sales Tax Committee, raise that share. So the request is to use the additional funds available up to the amount originally approved by the Flood Sales Tax Committee of that $462,750. Can take questions from there.
So, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Please.
So I want to make sure I understand this. I'm looking at that chart you have. So max approved 370, and we went through, I think, like I said last meeting, up to whatever the number was, 462? Is that right? Curtin?
You went to 392,726.99, or there's a motion. Let's see.
To find that in my notes here.
It's on the,
So I'm looking at the minutes, this is why I'm a little bit confused, and maybe I still am. It said, Mr. Lisney said the State Water Commission cost share of the project was 60%. The County Flood Sales Tax Committee approved cost sharing up to the amount of $462,750 at 75%, when the local assessment was going to be $61,700. I think we went through that, right? So we did or did not approve the $462,750?
so based on the estimate at the last meeting before the final costs were in, the request that day, or what was known at the time, was up to $393,000 from the flood sales tax. So the committee said, yep, we'll cover everything above the assessment district up to $393,000. If there are additional costs, you have to come back and request it at that point. So what this would basically do is change the percent of the county cost share. Every dollar the county spends up, the percentage goes up. So just doing a little quick math. Give me 1 second here. So this would change the county flood sales tax to be approximately 88% of the local share. The original was approved 75%. So that's why, even though you approved up to that $462,750, it was approved at 75%. And then at the last meeting, you talked about extending that up to whatever above $61,750 on the assessment district for the local share was needed. The cap at that last meeting was $393,000. So the request here is to raise the final cap up to the original cost share approval. Basically, if you take the total project cost, subtract State Water Commission, subtract the $61,700 the locals approved, that the Flood Sales Tax Committee would pick up the remainder up to the original approval amount.
Can you tell us what kind of increase there was from the last meeting to this meeting?
Yep, Commissioner Breitling. So The project was bid, hoping we could recycle a gravel road. There was about half a mile of gravel road that was reconstructed. And so that gravel, when it was replaced, it was really contaminated with clay and packed it in, but it wasn't working as well as a new road needs to be, especially one on top of a flood control levee. So the bulk of the expense was imported gravel for that. There was additional inspection time because the contractor took longer than estimated. So we were working on an hourly estimated contract, went a little longer than normal. Staking was a little more detailed than we expected. So there's a little bit on the engineering cost as well. And then there were some new culverts through the levee. And every time you have to add a culvert through a flood control levee, it's got to have sluice gates on both ends so you can operate it with a good level of flood control to protect those residents. So those are the bulk of it.
How much was that?
I don't have the prior estimate in front of me, but it raised. It would be an additional $70,000 from the county above what was approved. Some of that was cost shared by the State Water Commission at 60%, so it's not straight dollar for dollar. Based on the percent the Water Commission had approved on the last estimate, we weren't going to be able to get the entire amount committed by the State Water Commission, but those construction items and engineering items were all cost shareable. So what that did was raise the flood sales, or the State Water Commission portion up to their maximum commitment. And that leaves a remainder of about $70,000.
Looking at 530?
The request on the table would be to pay up to the original, so there's a 2017 approval for $462,750. So it would be to pay up to that amount of the original approval without going above that. That would be the cap.
I think it would be the simplest if we just took out the percentage in your motion and just said that we approve allocation to this project up to $462,750.
That was the original number you're saying.
That was the original.
That's what I'm looking back, I'm thinking, haven't we already approved this?
Because the last estimate showed we didn't quite need it.
Okay.
The committee looked at that and capped it at the amount we thought we needed. But now, and the request was if you need the remainder to come back and ask for the remainder, but didn't want to approve necessarily all of it at the same time.
Mr. Gus, do you have a comment? Please.
I have a paper map here, and if I was 40 years younger, I'd probably have it on your screen. But anyway, this shows the diversion that's already been constructed. This is where Sheldon subdivision is. There's a small subdivision over here that's inside the diversion, about the same size, and another subdivision up north of that, about the same size. Now, these people will not have to pay anything. These people, because they're on the outside, are going to have to pay something. And I've been working on this project for probably the last 10 years. And that's the reason that I've been really pushing for this. If the Corps had decided to include Sheldon subdivision, that would probably add $50 million to the cost of the diversion because it's so close to I-94. So I would just remind you that these people are paying into the county tax, the sales tax, just like everybody else. And you can see how close they are to the diversion. And it makes their property look like pretty tough because they have these big dikes just on the outside of their subdivision. So that's one of the reasons that I've been on this project. So I would encourage you to bend a little bit and help fund this project. Okay, thank you.
The gentleman from Sheldon subdivision, would you please let us know what you want us to hear?
Hi, it's loud. Colin Miller, I'm a resident of the Sheldon Addition. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for having me. I don't have a lot to add other than I appreciate what's been happening so far. It's kind of been a long process. Jake's been a big part of it, but thank you for working on this project. I mean, it's been kind of a big deal. We're all sort of nervous about what's happening to our properties outside the diversion. But the work they did on the gravel road and the levee being done, there is grass growing already. But I think it's a positive piece to our property, but we're still kind of nervous, like what's all going to happen outside the diversion. So that's kind of why I wanted to be here and represent. I mean, we're nervous, but I think this project looks good. So thank
Do you
you.
anticipate that your taxes are going to go up? Your valuation?
It's a good question. I don't know. Can you answer that? Hopefully not, but our concern is like the value might go down because of what we're doing. It looks like we're nervous about outside flooding. I think it's okay.
Christine, did you have a question?
If you're finished. Yeah, I think last time around, the issue was it looks like there was going to be excess, so we said, hey, we're not just going to throw excess out there, and make sure you come back for additional request if it's going to hit that mark. You've done that. It's no more than what was approved back, how long ago?
2017.
17. And I feel uncomfortable making a motion because I'm on the joint board, but I would certainly support it.
Mr. Chair, and one more question, just for my own understanding, apologize. And I appreciate Lyndon's phone call last week to get me up to speed, and I thought,
You're on the wrong one, Robert.
I wonder the numbers were not just, apologize.
I'm just going to go ahead and make the motion to approve it. Will be good.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any other questions or discussion that needs to take place at this time? I believe this is going to require a roll call vote. Would you call the roll, please, Tamara?
Commissioner Brightman,
Yes.
Timely,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Steve.
Yes.
Mr. Litchi.
Yes.
Thank you, the motion carried. The next item is the one that Robert wants to visit about.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chair.
does the gentleman across the table from you, and his name is Robert as well. Which Robert goes first? Oh, not me, I'm a bit confused. Mr. Thompson, please.
Basically, we're back in here and all three dams that have been completed, and we're here for the final cost share payment, I guess. We have Lyndon to come up here and explain a little bit more about it, but dam number one is up in Steele County and like Page Township and Rich Township from Cass County. That water goes up into dam number one. Dam number two is a combination of 1, 2, and 3. Anything that goes up the Elm River goes through dam number 2, Augusta Dam. That's in Trail County. So Cass County water goes up there too, plus dam number 3, I'll talk about in a little bit. That's all Cass County, Rich Township. Basically, we're back for the final amount, and Lyndon probably take it from here and talk about going through the project and the bond payments and so on.
Thank you, Manager. Manager Thompson. So, as Manager Thompson mentioned, we are here now that construction is finally complete. And so we originally had two different cost share requests. One was for Elm River Dams 1 and 2. That cost share request was previously approved 2 years ago by this committee, and the percentage was actually reduced from 75% down to 2/3. And that was primarily because these two dams are actually located outside of Cass County. But we had worked with this committee and the former engineer, Jason Benson, and we got agreement to fund dams 1 and 2 at that 2/3, which is still the request today. So dam number 3, that one is in Cass County, as Manager Thompson mentioned. That's in Rich Township, and that's at 90% of the local costs, and that's what the cost share request is. So some of the changes since we were here 2 years ago is before construction actually began, and at that time, we had not opened up construction bids yet. Here we are 2 years later, construction is complete, all the final costs have been tallied, so that includes all the construction, legal fees, engineering, and then some of our bond and interest payments. All that bonding and financing is all complete here. Now, our joint board is making those payments twice a year. We do feel like we can actually pay off the bond sooner, and so the request that's before you will likely be, the reimbursement should be less than what we're actually requesting. And part of that paying off the interest early is some of the dollars that we receive from the Dakota State Water Commission and the Red River Joint Water Resource District. All funding has been approved previously from the Red River Joint Water Resource District and also from the State Water Commission. So this is the last cost share request that we're coming to the committee for. So the motion we're looking for, two different motions. The first one is to amend the Cass County flood sales tax cost share for Elm River Dam number 1, number 2, improvement project up to a maximum of $236,432 at the previously approved 2/3 share of the remaining local cost. And the second motion for from the Elm River Joint Water Resource District would be to amend the Cass County flood sales tax cost share for the Elm River Dam number 3, improvement project up to a maximum of $73,606 at the previously approved 90% share of the remaining local share. With that, Manager Thompson, Secretary Treasurer Jessica Spaeth, we can take any question that you may have.
You need to realize that these 3 projects were federal projects, SCS projects, and were built by the Soil Conservation Service, which is the federal government. But they turned them, they walked away from them, basically. So then the Water Commission, which is now the State Water Department, decided that the Water Resource Districts are in charge of these maintenance on these projects and keep them up to speed. And what's happened is we juggled the funds or tried to figure out a way to get funding to do this, and we got created the Elm River Joint Board, and our total funds is what,
$41,880.
We had no money, really. And, and the Red River Joint Board came through and funded at 90%. And that's the only way we could even put this project together. So basically, we're coming to the end of it, and the projects are working, and they're much better than they were previous to this. The pipe in dam number 3 was completely in pieces. They took it out, and there's just a pile of scrap iron. Dam number 1 is going over the emergency spillway every year, sometimes twice a year, which is not, safe at all. The dam safety program wasn't in the code. Well, we had to get a permit anyhow from the state, and the state kind of dragged it out for a year and a half before we got the permits. And but we did good. We got good bid on all 3 of them, and we got them done, and that's what we're here for, is the final payment.
Your joint board, is that 2 or 3 counties?
Right?
Your joint board, is that 2 or 3 counties? 3 counties. That's Trail and
Steele and
Steele.
Dam number 1 is right in the corner of Steele County. That's a dam that had the most problem. It really, bad situation. And you have to realize 3 and 1 go into 2. So Cass County Water goes in the 2 besides 1 and 3. They look real good.
Are there any questions of either of these gentlemen?
Lady.
Jessica.
Or Jessica, too?
So, Mr. Chair, so the final payout for at least for 1 and 2 will likely be something nominally less than that 236, 432.
Correct.
And when we chatted, you said there, a portion of that is the interest on the bond there. Could a higher amount have been requested from this committee earlier and avoided some of that? I've just sort of, lessons learned. Is that something that maybe we should think about moving forward?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. When we came to this committee 2 years ago, we had finally gotten a construction permit that Manager Thompson mentioned, and we had just about opened up the construction bids. So we didn't know if we could even afford the project at that time. We should have, at that time, anticipated what the bonding costs were going to be in financing. So certainly this is a lesson learned. And the Water Resource District is cognizant of that. We're also in the future kind of taking a look at different types of financing mechanisms. Challenge with this is the maintenance district only brings in $41,000 a year. So they're really hamstrung on what they can spend. But short of it is, yeah, it's a lesson learned, and appreciate the committee considering our request today.
You have 2 motion requests.
Correct.
Would you review those again for us, please?
Yeah, would you like me to read the
Read
first
them,
motion?
please.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Chair, the motion in front of you, one of the motion is to amend the Cass County flood sales tax cost share for the Elm River Dam number 1 and number 2 improvement project up to a maximum of $236,432 at the previously approved 2/3 share of the remaining local cost share.
Is there such a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. I have a question though.
Please.
I'm assuming, did the State Water Commission and the Red River Joint agree to the higher amounts as well?
Yes, they have, Kyle.
And then how much of that amount is the interest?
So, yep, so for dams 1 and 2, I've got a breakdown sheet here that kind of has that as well. So the total project cost for dams 1 and 2 was $6.9 million. And the total interest amount was, in the bond fee, was $1.25 million. So out of that $6.9 million, 1.25 was the bonding and the interest payments. Water Commission is picking up $3.3 million, and the Red River Joint Water Resource District is picking up $3.2 million at their cost share percentages of 60% from the State Water Commission and then 90% from the Red River Joint Water Resource District. And they did, their executive committee did approve that last week at their meeting in West Fargo.
So the county share is pretty minimal. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's still percentage-wise a pretty small amount.
Correct.
Big project.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, this would also require a roll call, please.
Commissioner Brightling,
Yes.
Heinley. Yes. Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
And Mr. Litchi.
Yes.
And the second motion, would you read that for us, Stu?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The suggested motion is to amend the Cass County flood sales tax cost share for the Elm River Dam number 3 improvement project up to a maximum of $73,606 at the previously approved 90% share of the remaining local cost share.
Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion that should take place? Hearing none, this also would require a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brightling?
Yes.
Ms. Heinley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
Mr. Litchi?
Yes.
Chair will rule the motion is carried. Question. Deer season opened last week. Was that a hunting accident?
No, this is one of yet my many basketball injuries. I'm starting to learn that it's becoming more of a hazard to play basketball than it is for recreation.
So you're not 25 anymore.
I'm not. I wish I was.
I know that he deer hunts, that's why I asked the question. The next item on our agenda is the review of projects and consider funding for Maple River Water Resource District, Absaraka. I'm not sure how to pronounce the next one, and then Emden Dam Emergency Action Plan. Is there someone here who's prepared to present the information on these items?
Yeah, good afternoon again. Mike Opad with Houston Engineering. Melissa Hinkenmeyer and I are here on behalf of the Maple River Water Resource District to discuss the request for the emergency action plan updates for Absaraka, Garstig, and Emden dams. These dams, much like you just heard with the Elm River, were constructed by the SCS about 60 years ago, and the Water Resource District inherited them and everything that comes with them, including the obligation and requirement to create emergency action plans to make sure that everybody involved knows what needs to be done in the event of an emergency. In these cases, there were emergency action plans created in 2010 on two of them, and I believe 2018 on the third one. Unfortunately, they're now out of date. The requirements do call for them to be updated every year, with tabletop exercises done about every 3 to 5 years. So we're definitely behind on that. In the meantime, the state has adopted new requirements for these emergency action plans, specifically now requiring that modeling be done to determine what the potential impact of a dam breach would be, so that that's factored into these plans. So that needs to be done this time around, which is why the cost is relatively high. So the cost to do all three combined is estimated at $72,000. The State Water Commission is expected to contribute about 80%. We're expecting approval on that in early 2026. Of the remainder, the Red River Joint Board has agreed to kick in 65%. That was approved last week. And that leaves us with a request of this committee to fund 75% of the remaining local share for an amount not to exceed $3,780.
Yes, please.
Make a motion if you're okay with that.
Yes.
I'll move to approve the fundings, 75% of the local costs of the Maple River Water Resource District's effort to update the emergency action plans for Absaraka, Garstig, and Emden dams for a total amount not to exceed $3,780.
Second.
Is there any questions or discussion that should take place at this time? Yeah, Mrs. Robert?
Yeah, just a quick question, and this is an internal conversation we had when this came about, and, you know, understand that it's a nominal amount of money and understand that it's needed from what you put forward. Should we look at amending the policy to also include unfunded mandates or updates in state or federal requirements that apply to these structures? Because Taylor and I, and credit to Taylor for bringing this to my attention, is trying to go through our policy and find a place where this fits the box of fitting into policy. Didn't quite find it. So again, understand why you brought it forward, understand why it's needed, but the significant amount of work has gone into the policy over the years, and just wondered if this needs to be recognized.
Mr. Chair. Rick? Yeah, anyway, I thought the same thing, Robert. I looked here and I thought, well, okay, this is kind of it's a dam flood control project. So that would be number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I stretched to find that as well, but I know the Joint Water Board has approved several of these. It's been one for Maple River was a big one. I mean, it's a flood, it's a dam basically, and it seemed to fit well within what we thought we should be doing, so. But, yeah, if you're looking for a stretch,
Other needs as required.
that would be it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
when were these required to be updated by? Is there like a due date or something?
No, there's not a specific due date other than that they are technically supposed to be updated yearly, and we're 15 years late on a couple of them, so sooner the better. And again, we were hoping to get started on them already in the end of this year, but the funding from the State Water Commission is going to be delayed till early '26. We're going to do everything we can to try to get them updated ahead of a potential spring runoff so that they're ready to go for that, but we'll see if we have enough.
You know, did the Emden Dam go over this summer?
It did, I believe.
It did,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Which one?
Emden.
Did that spur any of these conversations, or was it already?
I think there was maybe some loose reference, but I think also was understood that they were out of date. For example, I think we might be 2 sheriffs behind right now on the contacts that are in these things. So fortunately, the people involved know who to call, but it did stress the need to get them updated soon. So
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? The other item that appears on my agenda, excuse me?
I think we have to vote
So
still.
we haven't voted on that one yet.
We were still in discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve?
I moved and
Okay.
second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. The other item is simply an informational item about next year's meetings. I don't know if we need to have any discussion
I
concerning
think,
those.
aren't you supposed to schedule these meetings to make them a regular meeting, otherwise it become a special meeting if they're not scheduled in advance? I found this out in the water boards. So if you schedule them, then they're considered to be a regular meeting, you can take care of any business at the regular meeting, but if it comes an unscheduled meeting, you make a change, it comes a special meeting, and then you can only take care of what's been noted. That just came up from our attorney Sean at our water boards. Let's just say that.
Not a lawyer, but I think there's a difference between like the appointed boards that are in Century Code and just like a committee of the commission. So these, I think, are a little bit different, but.
They're public meetings, all of them. I think. But anyway, I would have no problem just saying, because we can always change them.
Yeah, the last
So-
couple of years, we've kind of just set the meeting dates so that everybody that wants to apply and kind of the townships, the water resource districts, know.
I think it's good to set them so people are aware of them. If you need to be changed, you can change them. At least this way it gets out there. So probably just need a consensus on that.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, the chair will declare the meeting adjourned.
And moved. Are you declare moved? All right.
Second.